who knows what FIP stands for? Okay, so many people know, so I'm going to pick someone. So, DVD, you go. Good, exactly. Filecoin Improvement Proposals, that's how we drive Filecoin evolutions and introducing like new protocol changes and breakthrough into the Filecoin network. I didn't make these slides, so I'm going to try to cover those, so bear with me. But yeah, Filecoin Improvement Proposals, that's how we actually introducing new protocol changes to the network via FIPs through network upgrades. As many of you already know, in Filecoin, we don't have any like hard forks or whatsoever, or like soft like forks. All we do is like network upgrades. So whenever there's a consensus change or new protocol, we have to perform a network upgrade to introducing the new Filecoin Improvement Proposals into the network. So I think Filecoin has now been like 2 years old. It's like, time flies. There were 48 FIPs that have ever been like proposed. Majority of them were accepted. Some of them were postponed or like, rejected. But there were also like over 130 discussions, and that's ever being fired as like improvement ideas about like Filecoin protocols. So if we take a time machine and travel back time, like back into the 2 years, how everything started. So a couple of folks, Enos, David, even Rene, Luca, Nicholas, CX, they decided to create this FIP 0002, free thoughts on newly folded sectors of a missed WindowPoSt. If you are SP and you love this FIP, please clap, Okay, but yeah, this was the first like functional FIP that's ever on the Filecoin network. Actually gave like people some like grace, gave storage provider grace period on like WindowPoSt thoughts. And then we can never stops, followed by many other FIPs. We introduced like Filecoin Plus principles, which is the same started like for the Filecoin Plus like data cap and giving people like 10x QAPs for onboarding useful data to the Filecoin network. We also changed some crypto econ things so that we can adjust the liquidity improvement for the storage provider miners. Again, providers are super important to the whole ecosystem, so we want to make sure they have a sustainable business in the network. We also removed I actually don't remember what this one is, but if you're curious about FIP 005, go look into the FIP repo. We sent some like technical changes on the HAMT v3, how we store the data. Also, we introduced a batch sector pre-commit method, so you can pre-commit like a bunch of sectors in one message, which saves some of the miner costs. And at the same people would love, I would love to hear some like claps from Benjamin again. Yes, we exempt WindowPoSt from base fee burn in FIP 9 during like Christmas season. That's the time when base fee like drives and people have to pay a lot for WindowPoSt. But it's so important for people to prove storage. So we exempt WindowPoSt for a little bit while so people can prove their storage. Oh God, and this is the actual big one. So FIP 009 was actually a stopgap for the holiday season, so like people can keep their like operation maintained without like paying too much attention to it during the holiday. However, it was not a long-term solution, or it's not an ideal solution for the network for the long run. So what we did is like following up with an optimistic WindowPoSt FIP. So basically what we do there is like we do all the WindowPoSt verification off-chain. So on-chain, we don't actually do any validation when the WindowPoSt message like landed on-chain. We just assume the miners are honest. Are they though? Maybe. But if they're not honest and they do have like fake posts, we do have a dispute mechanism for people to challenge the posts that people has been posting. And if you got disputed with like fake proof or bad proof, storage provider are going to pay. So you don't want to do any bad things onto the network. So that's what that FIP is about. However, this FIP significantly reduced the cost of WindowPoSt for storage providers in the long term. How many of you folks knows about hyperdrive? Okay, what's hyperdrive? Okay, Benjamin, you go.
It's aggregating proofs.
Why is it good?
Well, because you're taking off congestion from the network.
Yeah, exactly. So as many of you may know, so when we ship like Filecoin network, we have never thought the network can actually grow this fast, this big in such a short time. So the chain was a little bit congested sometimes. People were having like bad time getting the message, a little bit getting message on chain. So that's the time where we were like, hey, Filecoin is a huge snarky network. Maybe we can, combine the snarks for like multiple sectors and aggregate those into one single messages. So that's when things were super cool happened. I think it's like FIP 9 and FIP 8 and FIP 13. We introduced ProveCommitSectorAggregated and also ProveCommitSectorBatch to reduce the on-chain congestions. So what you can do is basically you can onboarding a bunch of the sectors. I believe it's like up to 800 sectors, and then you can just send one single message to prove commit all those storage into the network. That's super cool. For this effort, the CryptoNet team, lab at PL, they created a very cool thing called Snark Pack, which is the first Snark aggregation ever in the Snarky world. So if you are curious about how the Snarky system works, there's a link in the FIP 13 as well. So go check it out over there. Yes. Unlike we did some data mass counting. If we were if all the storage provider were still onboarding super fast as they were before, it was supposed to be on block 20x onboarding capacity of the Filecoin network, and then while the network won't facing any congestion and base fee increase. SnapDeals. Who knows about who are doing SnapDeals these days? Okay, so I guess you know about SnapDeals. Okay, Nicholas, what's SnapDeals?
Basically, CC sectors to deal sectors. That's that.
CC sectors to deal sectors,
Yeah.
but most importantly, super fast. So before the whole sealing process, as you may know, may take from 4 to 6 hours based on your software and your hardware. And if you are onboarding even you have capacity sectors on the Filecoin network, you are trying to put data inside of it. You still have to reseal, perform the whole resealing process and basically onboarding a new sector. It was not the most smart thing we could have ever did. So we are trying to make it better with SnapDeals. What SnapDeals does is you have a CC sectors, you can directly put data into that sectors just as it is. Under 20 minutes. I think that data is from Nicholas' machine. So if you are facing longer time, don't yell at me. Talk to Nicholas. He will help you try to figure things out. But yeah, so for client, that's a great news as well. That means once you publish your storage deal, getting your data to a storage provider, you don't have to wait 6 hours to see your data on chain. However, you only have to wait 20 minutes. Assuming SnapDeals works, it does work in Lotus on some level. No, but yeah, if you haven't tried SnapDeals out, as a storage provider, I highly recommend you to, because it's pretty easy. We do have great toolings in Lotus Manner to help you onboarding SnapDeals into the network. I know it's on Filecoin's roadmap maybe next year. Hint, hint. Don't call me on that. We may even have resnap, so updatable storage coming in 2023. So that means today if you put data into a sector and it's if the deal is expired, you will have to onboard new data coming into the new sectors, maybe sometime next year, you can just put the data into the existing sectors that has expired data, so you can better utilize your storage soon, guys. Yeah, this is pretty cool. We have only launched like SnapDeals for seven months, I think. I think that covers 7.8 like pip of data was snapped into the sectors. That was like 250,000 SnapDeals that's ever performed. So that's like pretty amazing. I didn't even know we have that many SnapDeals being onboarded. So again, if you haven't tried, please try. I think we have like tutorials on our YouTube channel as well. Okay. Anybody? Yes?
Can you tell if a sector's been snapped?
Yes, it's in the sector info. There's a field to confirm whether it's a snap sector or not a snap sector. So yeah. FVM. I feel like everyone has been hearing about this a lot, but like starting last year in December, 2.5 people from the FVM team joined by like a huge from the Lotus team. We had basically like hacking on FVM to make sure it's like shippable into the Filecoin network to like this year. I think we finally launched FVM M1 from the Scare upgrade in July. So in this upgrade, we basically set the good foundation of like having the Filecoin network to run FVM, and this was based runtime like virtual machine. We also like officially switched the whole actor from Ghostback actor to the built-in like the Rust actor, thanks to the Forest team. I don't know if we have the Forest team here, but they are the original contributor, creator of the Rust actor. But now all through implementation or all implementation in the Filecoin network is empowered by this built-in actor that's written in Rust. And last but not least, a Shark is coming. We have a Sharky upgrade that's coming up. Sorry. Before we can fully unblock programmability by FVM, introducing FEM early next year, we do want to do some refactoring on the Filecoin protocol so that we can have use cases built on top of Filecoin with FVM. So we did some like protocol changes, actor refactors, things like that. So the first one is like FIP29. We are introducing beneficiary address for storage providers. And this is pretty cool because I know a lot of the storage providers are actually working with the lending providers to get like collateral to support their like miners. Most of the lending providers, they currently require to hold miner's owner key so that they not only they can fund the miner, but also they can do risk control when something like goes wrong with the miner itself. With beneficiary address, we hope there are lending solutions to support like people to develop like lending solutions that miners don't have to give up their owner key. However, they can still get like funds from different like providers. If you are building like any like lending market, I will like on the Filecoin network, I will recommend you to check this FIP out. And then we did a couple like security fix like in FIP 34. And the star of this upgrade, we are the couple verified registry from markets so that we can enable different like user programmable storage market possibilities when FEM is landed. What's cool about this FIP is it's getting all the data cap stuff out of the market actor, however, living in its own data cap token contract. Yes, you heard me right. We now have a first like token contract in the Filecoin network. It's called data cap. So if you are someone has the data cap, you can find you as a token holder of our very first like token on the network. What this means to storage provider is, as many of you may know, if your deal is like this short while your sector is this big, your like 10x power is actually not spread it for the whole sector lifetime, but they're actually distributed over the lifetime. So for example, if you have a deal that's like for 5 days, but your sector lifetime is for 10 days, you only get like 10x power for like half of the power. So like maybe if 5x the power for the whole sector lifetime. But with this FIP, as long as you have the valid, a valid verified deal in that sector, you can enjoy the whole 10x QAP for the whole lifetime of the sector. That's also great news for the client as well. So what you can do is you can actually claim, I want to extend the term of my data cap to this piece of data. And if the storage provider says, yes, I also want to store this data longer for you, you don't have to remake the deal. Storage provider can just extend the sector again, and then they will be storing the data, again with 10x power, incentivized by the network, and keep the data for you. And the client, you can expect the data to live on the Filecoin network as long as the deal lasts. So I don't know if we have mentioned, the Shark upgrade is coming in November, I believe, early December. We just upgraded the calibration net to Shark. So if you, no, okay. The calibration is going to be upgraded to Shark next Tuesday. Next month, Monday, Tuesday? Okay, Monday? Yeah. So if you want to help testing, please join in the calibration net discussing Filecoin Slack. If you find any bug, I bet Benjamin will. Do ping the Lotus team. We are here to work things out with you. There's a new thing that has been introduced this year. They're called FRCs, Filecoin Request of Comment. These are the things are like standards for the Filecoin network. So there's a lot of things that would be great for the network or the ecosystem to agree on. However, they are not necessarily like consensus bonding. That's why we have this platform, this forum to help like people develop like such standards. Why standards is like important? Let me give you an example. Maybe let's say the APIs. Why you share like a common API standard like in the whole Filecoin network? Like among different implementation of like Lotus or like Forest, you as an application developer, you can actually have like 2 different nodes running. So if the Lotus node is done, you can just like easily switch to the Forest node and expect everything is still working because all the API interface, is still being enabled for you to talking to the chain. And that's why we want like standards. So there are 4 that's being opened up. The first one is by the Bedrock team, is the indexer protocol for Filecoin content discovery. And the next one is we are having a new storage deal market protocol built by the Boost team. We are having calling convention for hash messaging and also fungible token standard for data cap. Sorry. Excuse me. Sorry, I'm not in my best form, but yeah. So a sneak peek into the future of Filecoin. So again, this talk was supposed to be delivered by CryptoNet Lab, which is the research protocol development team at PL Andreas. So they do a lot of forward-thinking, bleeding-edge research on how to enable better opportunities for the Filecoin network. So what's next? Next, we have FVM that's launching into the network, a programmable storage market that you can build your own incentive or deal mechanism into the Filecoin network. We will have Halo 2, which you will hear from the Field Crypto team to give you a deep dive on what Halo 2 is, what does it mean for the Filecoin network soon later. And Snap, upgradable SnapDeals, as I mentioned earlier. And also we are introducing a pull-rep bug policy, proof expiration, longer deals. So as you may know, right now the sector maximum lifetime on Filecoin is 5 years. That's because we want to make sure all the proof is secured on the Filecoin network. But as the hardware getting improved, or like the decryption, encryption word that people get like, creative. There's no guarantee the ProRep we have today can be forever secured. That's why we have a 5-year max lifetime onto the sectors like these days. However, with this like new bug policy, it does allow sector max lifetime to go beyond 5 years, like even forever, and it gives us when the sector lifetime is like longer, clients can make longer deals, and maybe we can even have permanent storage onto the Filecoin network if people want that. So that's pretty cool. That's FIP 47, by the way. So if anyone wants to check that out, go take a look. I think I covered all the slides. I hope that makes sense. Any questions on FIPs or like introducing protocol changes to the Filecoin network? No? Easy peasy, everything? Okay. Yes.
These topics are all very heavy, and they're very context dependent, and they spawn really big discussions. How do we go about ensuring that all the right stakeholders are involved in each of the FIP discussions? Because that seems like a pretty big problem.
That's a very good question. So it's still an ongoing discussion on like how we should like deal with like FIPs. What's a healthy life cycle of like introducing FIPs to the Filecoin network? So how things like goes today. So first, like you can check out the GitHub repo in Filecoin Slack. It's called the FIPs channel. If you go to the discussion, there's a whole life cycle being written up. But normally, things start with idea generation, right? So you basically create a FIP discussion to bring up the idea with the community to introduce like what can be better on Filecoin, and circle all the community members and the core devs, core developer teams to help you to form the idea to make sure it's on the right path for the Filecoin. And then during the discussion, you will slowly form up your actual FIP proposal. So that's the time you create a FIP draft and opening a PR in the FIPs repo, opening a draft, and that once the FIP draft is open, the FIP is gonna go into our governance process run by Filecoin Foundation core dev governance team. So what they would do is first to make sure we solicit the FIP draft among the community, and also we ask the FIP authors of the FIP to present the FIP in the core dev call or in any recorded form, basically to go a deep dive on why we are doing this. Is this the right solution? Having a couple iteration of how the FIP should be looking like, and then slowly we try to finalize the FIP to a stage that people are okay, this is in the right direction, and now it's in the hand of the core devs. Core devs is a pretty distributed governance development community that has people from all the implementation teams Lotus, Forest, Venus. We have research team. We also have Byrox teams. A lot of team of Crypto Econ Lab, all those teams, and we will have a discussions on whether we should put this into the Filecoin roadmap and making sure it doesn't kill the network. It actually makes the Filecoin network better. It doesn't kill the network. If it's a controversial FIP, for example, as you may know, FIP 36, which is a crypto econ change that was proposed, and a lot of storage provider has raised their concerns about that change into the Filecoin network. Then we will have a longer governance process, and eventually, if we have to, we will do a field poll to gather the sentiment from the community on whether that's a good idea, whether a FIP is a good idea or not to introducing to the Filecoin network. Most of the time, because Filecoin is still super young, not a lot of the things are controversial. So not FIP 36. So most of the time, core dev will just be yeah, this is a good idea. Then we schedule things into the network. We make sure all the parties review the FIP and audit the implementation to make sure it's going to be secure to land in the Filecoin network. And that's pretty much it. So like FIP goes through a process of FIP draft, then the last call. Last call is a 2-week process. Everyone in the community can say, hey, this seems wrong. You got to fix this, FIP answers, before we land this into the Filecoin network. And then we finish through the last call, assuming the community are okay with the FIP. We move FIP to the accepted status. And now when the FIP is in the accepted status, now the FIP is in core dev's hands, core implementation's hands to actually implementing that into the protocol and into the client implementation. And once it's finalized, meaning it's introduced by a Filecoin network upgrade, then that's when a FIP is like finalized. I hope that answers your question.
So 36 went to a poll. What's the trigger for it to go to a poll? Was that just oh, this is controversial, we better actually ask?
Actually, not. So like, I wish like Caitlin, the governance TPM is here. She will always say, we never want to do like, we don't want to have like a field pool for all the FIPs that's ever going to be introduced into the Filecoin network. That's only going to slowing down the network. And also like we as a community, we should easily be on soft consensus on like what's good or bad for the network. FIP 36 is because a couple things. So first is like different community members have different perspective on how crypto econ changes will impact their business. Token holders or like storage providers or like clients will all have like different ideas. At that time, it's really hard to signal how everyone feels about how things will impact them. And for the core devs, we focus on the code. We don't run a business on Filecoin network, right? So we were seeking for signals from the community members on like how this is gonna impact them. That's why we launched a pool. But yeah.
I would like to quickly add to that, because this is a really interesting question. Thankfully, this is a problem for the Filecoin Foundation to solve, and not a problem for Lotus to solve for the most part. But I don't, honestly, going back to the original question of like, how do you make sure all of the relevant stakeholders have weighed in? I don't think we have a good answer to that yet, because there's kind of two obvious models, and we've kind of tried both. One model is you identify the relevant stakeholders, and that's a easier thing to do, and you require them, or you ask them to kind of be paying attention to every FIP that's being discussed, proposed, written. Now, that's a reasonable thing to do. This doesn't work well because we do have a lot of FIPs, as Jennifer covered, and not every FIP is of interest to every stakeholder. As an example, I opened a FIP a couple months ago that added a new method to the account actor that basically just redoes signature validation. The Boost team, as an example, probably does not care about that at all. It's validating a signature. So requiring everyone to be paying attention all the time doesn't work. The alternative model is obviously you try and, for every single FIP, you try and identify the stakeholders that will be impacted, and then you go and get their special attention. This is kind of what we're doing more of today. The reason this doesn't work is because it is a notoriously hard job to identify who those stakeholders should be, especially for one person or one team, Caitlin Beagle and the Foundation, to try and do so for the broad range of FIPs that are written. Historically, we've gotten this wrong. We've opened FIPs that we thought were, let's say, purely technical matters, and did not realize that there was a crypto economic concern until we were much too late in the game and then had to intervene at the last minute. So I think this is a work in progress. Yeah, I definitely don't think we have the right solution yet. But the Phil Phipps channel, Slack channel, is a place where this conversation is ongoing. And Caitlin, I can briefly speak for her, is very, very interested in trying to solve this problem and solve this problem well. So opinions and feedback is very welcome. And hopefully we keep getting better at it.
There's an active governance discussion in the FIPS repository as well. So we do want more people joining the governance process of the Filecoin network. So if you're interested in that, please go check it out.